Who are the best safety prospects in the 2026 NFL Draft? Stay tuned as we break down an unexpectedly talented group. Ryan, I was texting you this week when I was watching safety prospects as we were preparing for today's show. And I got to be honest, this might be one of the better, maybe the best safety class that I've watched since I started doing draft coverage. By the way, if anyone can't tell, I've been sick this whole week. I was feeling great, and then I woke up this morning with no voice. So it was the real gut punch of all things. Trying to talk during the show is going to be a little bit of a battle, and I apologize if I don't sound as silky smooth and amazing as I typically do.
Sure.
But Ryan, this safety class, I was really impressed. I feel like all the guys in my top 10 I could draft, and I could start pretty early on as rookies.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Joe, but it's the depth of the class, obviously. Like, I mean, the top is very good, and we'll get to, obviously, that conversation in a little bit here. But the depth was what really kind of caught me off guard, because when I was even compiling my list and just kind of working through notes and everything, I felt really bad leaving like 2 or 3 kids off this list. Like, I felt really bad. Like, I was going to text you, and it's a good thing I didn't, because I didn't know that your voice was in the state that it is. But I was like, hey, man, we need to do a top 15 instead of a top 10. Like, we got to do it. We got to push the envelope here. But
no. If you told me that, I would have said no, because also being sick prevented me from watching as many safeties as I wanted to. Sure. So I would have told you kick rocks.
Well, either way, though, excited to talk about this top 10. There's going to be several guys. So if for the people that are listening to this video, if you want to put some players into the chat that you like that we potentially miss at the end, please do that, because, again, there's like 3 or 4 guys that I really desperately wanted to get onto this list, and I think that it is a very expansive conversation because of how good this class is.
All right, I'm going to start us off with my 10 through 6. Number 10, Amari Farrell from Indiana. Number 9, I know I'm going to mispronounce his name, Michael Taff from Texas.
Yep.
8, Keon Sabb from Alabama. 7, Terry Moore. And then 6, Dylan Thieneman. Terry Moore's from Duke, and then 6, Dylan Thieneman from Oregon.
I thought Dylan Thieneman would be higher for you. Man, you were a Thieneman guy. You're a Thieneman guy.
I knew I was going to get that comment, and I have a very good grade on him.
Okay.
And I don't have a first-round grade on him, because I think that he is a little bit limited as an athlete. He's not as rangy and as explosive as some of these other prospects that I have ahead of him.
Sure.
I think that really is a testament to my top 5 and how excited I am about all the guys in my top 5. But the thing with Thieneman, what makes him so good, this dude was playing out of position as a free safety. I respect Ryan Walters. I know a lot of people might not, because Purdue was terrible while he was there, but he's a great defensive mind.
Great defensive coordinator, not a good head coach. Yes. That's what we have with Coach Walters. Yeah.
He was, Thieneman, playing over the top despite not having the athleticism to cover that much ground. And his instincts were so good that he really wasn't a liability trying to play deep. They had him playing comically deep at times, which was so stupid. And it bothered me. If this young man, which it sounds like he's going to be doing this a lot more at Oregon, played in the box as a strong safety, I think that he really exemplifies the battering ram, great tackler, knock your head off, always going to bring you to the ground, hybrid safety linebacker build. I would feel so secure taking him if I just wanted a guy who I knew I didn't have to take off the field. I'm a big Thieneman fan because I discovered him when he was a true freshman before anybody started talking about him. But sadly, he doesn't end up at number 6.
He's a battering ram, so he's a white safety. I got it. That's all you had to say. I'm just
Shut
kidding.
up.
I'm just kidding.
Shut up. Real lunch pail kid is a high character.
Dude,
but he is. I mean, he's probably the best tackler.
Out. Oh, yeah. No,
maybe alongside Caleb Downs, he's probably the best tackler out of all these safeties.
Except for the Notre Dame game. That game was a game. If you want to like Dylan Thieneman, don't watch Notre Dame. Watch any other game, because I promise that not every game is Notre Dame game. I've told people that. But you know what's funny, Joe, is obviously I live in Notre Dame land a lot on Twitter, and they will swear up and down that Dylan Thieneman stinks because of just the one game. I'm like, guys, I promise that was an outlier of a game. That was the worst game he played in 2 years, most likely 2 years of football. Yeah. So yes, move past that. Can you hit on real quick And then, because we actually have a few repeat guys in this list. I'm actually kind of shocked because I thought our list would be completely different, but we have some repeats here. Can you hit on Keon Sabb? Because he did not make my list. Obviously, he is the Michigan to Alabama transfer last year, and I know he was kind of a little bit banged up in 2024.
Yeah, Keon Sabb was one of those guys when I watched him who didn't like completely shine to me when I was watching him, that it was like, oh my God, this kid's great. But he's one of the more higher floor guys, I felt like.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of these guys that made my top 10 moved really well. Just really fluid, easy moving guy that was able to open up, cover ground. I love the length that he has. I thought he had pretty good awareness. And again, it's just like there were a couple areas where tackling is inconsistent. His play strength is inconsistent. But he just seemed like one of those players. I know it's a cliche, and I'm not trying to helmet scout here. It's going to probably end up going relatively early because you know the reliability you're getting. Sure. I don't think he's going to be a riser or a faller in this class. I think he's going to be one of those guys that sticks around 8 to 12 for most people.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Because, I mean, again, he's had experience now at Michigan and Alabama, so he's going to get the general bump of playing high-level football against great competition and all that type of stuff. I agree. So, Joe, I actually have 3 of the same 5 here for my list that you just mentioned, which is very interesting again. So number 10, I have a guy you didn't mention, Jeremiah Cooper, who is a safety out of Iowa State. I have Teo Johnson out of Utah at number 9. Number 8, I have Amari Farrell out of Indiana. Dylan Thieneman at number 7 for me out of Oregon, the Purdue transfer. And then Terry Moore out of Duke comes in at number 6.
Let's talk about Terry Moore.
Yeah.
I just watched him as one of the last guys I watched before we started recording. His man coverage skills are awesome. I was like blown away. I wasn't expecting to see a guy who could play in man coverage as well as he can. And he's also long. He's super fluid. I don't think he's going to be like a crazy good athlete. I don't know if he's probably going to be like more of a 4-5 guy.
Yep.
But dude, he's one of these players I'm surprised more people are not talking about him.
So he's very densely built too, right? But it's very weird because I wouldn't necessarily like, he's not a box kid by any stretch. Like he is a pure like coverage safety.
But he's versatile.
Yes, he is versatile. Like you said, he can come down and play in the slot, which he does. He can play over top, and I mean Duke plays him at a lot of single high as well. So like he's got range on the back end. He's got good ball skills. You know what's really interesting about him though? He was a running back to start his career at Duke. He's only been playing safety for a couple. Dude, last year was his first year as a starting safety for Duke. He played a little bit at safety the year before, but he was a running back like his first 1 to 2 years at Duke. So like, it explains it because when you look at him, you're like, it's kind of a stocky build, right? Like he kind of looks like he could have played running back because he literally, like, I'm not saying like he was a high school running back that came and then they quickly transitioned him. Like he ran the football early on at Duke as a running back. So running back to safety transfer. To transition, and that gives me a lot of hope for the next year because again, we're talking about a kid that only started 1 true year so far at Duke. Again, he played in 2023, but he only started 1 year in 2024. So what type of jump does he take as a second-year starter for the Blue Devils? Now he's dealing with an injury, and I don't know exactly when he'll be back per se in this season. But man, I really, I mean, he's number 6 on my list, so I'm a big fan of Terry Moore.
Yeah, I mean that makes me more excited because I did make a note. I thought his instincts were pretty good, but to know that it's kind of like when Xavier Watts made the transition where he made so many great plays, but there were times that you watch and you go, man, I just wish he was a little bit more reactive.
Like angles of pursuit as well in 2023. Yeah. I mean, it's just like the little nuances of playing the safety position. Can I geek out about Amari Farrell for a second? Because I think that kid...
Go ahead.
That kid is one of the best kept secrets in college football, I think. Because like Joe, when you talked about Indiana football, right? Obviously, we had C.J. West this past year, but if a person just casually is talking to a college football fan that knows a little bit about the University of Indiana, and I said, "Who are the best defensive players in Indiana?" People are going to say D'Angelo Pons, they're going to say Aiden Fisher, they're going to say Mikhail Kamara. Like, they are not going to say Amari Farrell, but I think that Amari Farrell, arguably with Pons, is the best draft prospect on this defense. Like, I really do, man. 6'1", about 200 pounds. The thing that sold me is that, like, he looks like a bigger box safety type of body type because he actually plays a lot of, like, overhang in that system because they play a lot of 3 safety stuff or they play a lot of big nickel stuff. But the change of direction that kid has for being a little bit of a bigger body type, I was like, oh, that's different. And then he is physical and he can come downhill. So I think that this is a very unique athlete that has the size and the flexibility and the movement skills to be a really nice, diverse safety on the next level that can do a bunch of different roles. So yeah, start talking about Amari Farrell, because again, Indiana's got a few really good defensive players coming back in 2025, but I feel like not enough people are talking about Farrell and the impact he had on the team last year.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that there's not, or sorry, let me rephrase that. There is a surprising amount of versatile players in this class, and that's why I like the class so much. He's 6'2", he's 200 was what he was listed at. Yep. And I'd feel fine him playing free safety, strong safety. I'd have him feel comfortable with him playing in the slot. Like, another one of those players, kind of like Terry Moore, not as good of a man coverage player, but did some good things in man coverage. The only thing that bothered me for as big as he is, I would like for him to be stronger. And I thought that it's annoying. He's a super willing and physical tackler, but he's one of these guys, and it pisses me off watching safeties that are to just do everything right and want to hit, but they dive at guys' feet. You're aggressive enough and physical enough to wrap up, take a guy to the ground, stop diving for toes. You're going to get ran past, or you're going to get stiff armed. For the love of God, just wrap up. But I love Amari Farrell
only a
as well.
True sophomore last year, so again, there's developmental upside here. We're not talking about a kid that necessarily is even in 2026, right? So
that's the big key with this, is that if that's what I need to fix, I feel pretty good about that. Maybe he's not a part of this class. Maybe he's in the next class or something along those lines. He could end up getting picked pretty early. My number 5 guy, Xavier Scott from Illinois. He is the one guy who's the Brian Branch archetype, the slot safety who's going to cover in a lot of man situations and is just going to rove and move all over your defense because he's following guys. Played a surprising amount on the outside too, and I didn't feel like he was ever really getting cooked on the outside when he was doing that, which makes me feel pretty comfortable. I think where you get a lot of value with him is you can just plug and play him, again, in that slot role. Really fluid and also super instinctual. There was a play against, I think it was Kansas, where he completely read, it was a bubble. He just flew upfield, picked it off, returned it to the house. The whole place goes nuts. The only thing that bothers me about Xavier Scott, I think he's got below average play strength. He's not a super big dude. Times that he's lost in coverage in man situations were when he was just getting bossed up by a guy that was bigger and stronger than him. That was pretty much it. But I don't need him to be gigantic. I just need him to be great against slot receivers.
So we should have had a conversation probably the last couple of days about Xavier Scott. I have a very high.
Oh, you have him a corner.
I have a very high grade for him, but I have him listed as a corner because he's a nickel, right? Like, so yes.
This is a Jahdae Barron.
Well, Joe, let me ask you a question.
Problem again.
Let me ask you, when you describe the nickel position, what is the second word that comes after nickel?
Nickel corner. But
yes.
Is Brian? But wait. But is Brian Branch a safety or a corner?
It's a nickel.
I don't know. I would classify Xavier Scott as a safety.
Let me ask you this though. Okay, so no, you actually bring up a decent point. I think this is actually a fun conversation. Ready? So if you want to tell me Brian Branch is a nickel safety, right? Like that's his 2 spots. I'm fine with that. That's cool. My second question though for you would be Xavier Scott. If he's not playing nickel, where are you putting him? Are you putting him at safety or are you putting him outside?
I don't think he can play outside in the NFL.
Even in like a zone-based system.
Enough.
Again, like
I don't think he's long enough.
I wouldn't put him outside, but I don't think I would put him at safety with the play strength, though. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like
I think he can play over the top. I think he's athletic enough and his hips are good enough that he could play over the top. Again, I see a light version of Brian Branch. I don't think he's as athletic as Brian Branch was, but I see an iteration of him for teams that are desperate to get their own version.
That's fine, and so I'm totally fine with you having him on the safety list.
You save your points for corner when we get to the corner. When we hit our corner,
I do have a high grade on him though, so we probably do see him similarly as a safety. Zakee Wheatley out of Penn State is number 5 for me. Joe, I was kind of blown away by Wheatley because he's got pretty good spring grade. He's got actually good spring grades, so like I'm not shocked, right? So like the NFL I think likes him. But there's like a lack of media attention for him, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, the guy had like 90-something tackles last year, had some interceptions, had plays on the football, and if you watch his Notre Dame game and a couple games down the stretch, you're like, oh, that kid's nice. He is 6'2", about 198, 200 pounds, somewhere in that ballpark, but he plays over the top a ton for Penn State. Like he's not a box player, and he has some legit range. I'm not necessarily sure that he's going to have great straight line speed, like coming downhill. I'm not sure if he's going to run like some like 4.4 something. Probably more of a 4.5 something athlete, but he has those long strides in deep zone coverage where he is able to come over the top and make some rangy plays on the back end, and he has the size, and he is willing to come down as a run defender. I think he comes down a little bit out of control at times, and he does miss a couple tackles from times. But if you want a free safety type that is going to play on the back end and is going to play over the top a ton in deep zone, I think Zakee Wheatley has the ball skills and range to make a huge impact on the next level.
So Zakee Wheatley was number 4 for me. So easy transition. It sounds like we basically have the same exact grade on him. Kid flies.
Yep.
The amount of 6'2" safeties, by the way, in this class is they're probably all like 6'1" and change.
Yes.
Maybe we'll get a guy who's actually 6 foot.
Let me see. Let me see if I can get the verified on him while you're talking. Go ahead.
The amount of tall, long safeties in this class is fun because that is always something that I will fall for is the tall, long safety. The way that he flies, though, and he does it like a missile. He just shoots upfield. The Notre Dame game was tremendous by him.
It's incredible.
Like he's just
incredible game.
Shooting upfield. Another thing that I'm going to talk about a lot, and I've already talked about a lot. Good. Better play strength.
Sure.
Needs to improve pursuit angles. Needs to break down and tackle a little bit better.
He comes, though, man. Like he has effort there. You know, like he's not shy of it. Yeah. Yep.
Let's not put come and effort into the same sentence when talking about a guy. By the way,
you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. Nobody took it that way. Besides
you said he comes. There's effort there. That's a
he comes downhill. There's effort there, man.
Okay.
All right.
That's better. That's
really
better.
fills gaps. You know. All right. Yes.
Whenever I watch Jesus Christ. Whenever I'm watching prospects, I always kind of think in my head like, okay, I try to reiterate what are the things that are important to me. Safety is actually probably my best position that I've had a time evaluating. I've been told that by multiple people. There's been times where I've had guys that weren't really on the radar that ended up being highly drafted. Andrew Makuba's one that I like to claim that last year nobody was like really talking about him, and he ended up having an awesome season at Texas.
Yep.
But the big thing that I look for, you don't need to have great pursuit angles to be successful to take a leap if you're a younger guy. I want athleticism, I want reactiveness, and the third thing that's like a nice piece is, are you at least willing to tackle? You don't need to be a good tackler. Are you at least willing to tackle? If you're soft, I'm pushing away. But Zakee Wheatley, I think, checks all 3 of those boxes that he's willing. As soon as he sees something happening, he flies, and he has the athleticism, the hips, the range, all of those things that I know he's going to be able to cover ground. Mm-hmm. The ability to cover ground will always be the most important talking point with a safety that I think does not get brought up enough, hence why I wasn't incredibly high on DeLeone Theineman. But Wheatley is, to your point, a player who, and he's also, I think, tweeted about it.
Yeah.
Like I think PFF posted a graphic where he wasn't on it. He did the whole, noted. He's tweeting like a wide receiver, even though he's a safety. Give Zakee Wheatley credit and give him recognition because he deserves it.
How tall do you think he is? I have the verified in front of me. He's 198
6'1"
pounds.
and a quarter.
He is 6'2" and 3/4, Joe. 6'2" and 3/4. Verified.
So he's almost 6'3"?
He's almost 6'3".
BS.
We have the verified.
Actually, he does look that tall on film.
We have the verified.
I never trust those heights, but credit to Penn State.
Oh, freaks, man.
All right.
Absolute freaks. You're number 5, right? Because that was 3 for you, wasn't it? Or 4?
No, he was number 4 for me, so who's your number 4?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, number 4 for me. Speaking of big safeties, you ready for this one? Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo. I love Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo. He is 6'3" and 3/8", 209 pounds with the 32 and 3/8 inch arm. So my boy is tall, filled out, and Joe, he almost entered the 2025 NFL draft because he is well liked in NFL circles, but he got hurt down the stretch for Toledo. I tweeted out about this kid last week. I've been talking about him for over a year, though, now. We've had back-to-back years of Toledo players going top 100. Obviously, we had Quinyon Mitchell. Then we have Darius Alexander. I think this is the next one. I think that is what Emmanuel McNeil Warren is. I did not know. I shouldn't say I didn't know. I was actually sort of surprised about how big he was when I first watched him, because when I'm watching him, I'm like, that kid's playing deep zone, flipping his hips, 45-degree angles, closing on the football. He had one of the more impressive plays last year. I clipped it on Twitter, but I can't remember who he was playing against, where he had the speed turn off of something to deep middle of the field to go on something that was going down the sideline, and his corner got cooked, where he was able to undercut it and intercept it in the end zone. I think that this kid can play in the box. He's physical enough to do it, and he's got good intent when doing it. He has a couple missed tackles, but like nothing troubling where I'm like, he can't do it. But that kid is a smooth mover, really good athlete. And again, I think he's going to be the third straight year of a Toledo defensive player going top 100. Emmanuel McNeil Warren.
He's number 3 for me. I'm a little nervous because I think that you're going to have 2 guys that I didn't watch, which is in your top 5, which has not happened.
You watch Caleb Downs? Did you watch him?
No, I didn't watch Caleb Downs. He sucks. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I swear to God, if somebody gives you, obviously, you guys can guess where I have Caleb Downs, and I obviously like him. I'm joking. Don't need anyone yelling at me.
Flip you, yeah.
I love Emmanuel McNeil Warren, though.
So good.
I would take him in the first round.
Whoa, I love that. I love that. I have a top 50 grade on him, so I'm okay with that comment. I'm okay with it. Yeah.
This is an insane athlete.
Yes.
This dude should not be able to move as fluidly as he does at his size. As I'm like watching him, and I'm thinking, you know, where am I going to put him? Where am I going to put him? And as I'm still watching him, why am I overthinking this? This guy, for his height to weight, the speed ratio, and all those things, is pound for pound the best athlete. Unbelievable. I know he's not going up against great competition, but he does everything that you want. He can cover from range, cover over the top. His hips are good enough that he can cover in man coverage, as well as long enough and tall enough to stick with tight ends and to cover them as well. And I thought that he was awesome as a tackler and a reliable run defender. Only negative I really had, average play strength, but not bad play strength.
Sure. Yeah.
I love this kid, dude. I would take him in the end of the first round, beginning of the second round. He could be one of these guys that just goes on to become like a consistent Pro Bowler, maybe even better with the right defensive coordinator.
I recommended him to an agent 2 years ago, Emmanuel McNeil.
Did they sign him?
I mean, they're working on it. We'll talk after the show about that, but yeah, they're working on it. Joe, they had Emmanuel McNeil Warren and Quinyon Mitchell in the same secondary together.
And Darius Alexander up front.
And Maxon Hook, who was a good safety as well. Like, at least a really good college safety, you know? Like, it is bananas, the talent acquisition and development that we have seen at Toledo, defensively especially. Like, it's absurd to think about. Because, I mean, Quinyon ran 4.3 something, right? And he was a Pro Bowl level player as a rookie for the Philadelphia Eagles, all pro level for the Eagles as a rookie. This is a young man that, tell me if I'm crazy, 6'3 3/8, 209 pounds with long arms, 4.47, 40 maybe? Like, I mean, he's going to test well, I think, right? Like, I mean, that kid moves. So, yeah, Emmanuel McNeil Warren is very good. Very good player.
All right, who do you have at number 3 then? Because we're already picking off mine.
Okay, so number 3 for me, I have, sorry, my list popped. Oh, no, I'm opening up the wrong list again. I'm sorry. Number 3 for me, probably a player you haven't watched. I was chatting with him in our group chat 2 days ago, yesterday. I don't know. Khalil Barnes from Clemson is who I have at number 3. True junior.
I didn't watch him.
I figured. He's kind of an obscure guy. He's a little bit obscure, but apparently a big agency is pulling for him right now, even though he's only a true junior going into his season. But was a little bit banged up last year. But the freshman year film 2 years ago was fantastic. And last year was quite good, in my opinion, as well. 6 foot, 200 pounds. They play him a lot at nickel, like a whole lot at nickel. Funny enough, when he was coming out of high school, there was intentions from Barnes that he wanted to play wide receiver in college. Wide receiver. And like schools like Clemson, Notre Dame recruited him. Notre Dame wasn't really willing to let him have a shot at wide receiver. Clemson was willing to let him have the shot, but then they moved him to safety pretty early on when he got there as well. This kid is so smooth. Really good, just general change of direction. Long speed, I think, is sufficient as a safety, and I think it's good for a safety just overall. But he has really solid tackling technique too, man. And there's some plays where they ask him to basically be a force defender, and there's other plays where they ask him to be a perimeter defender, and you have to keep leverage. And he does a tremendous job of maintaining discipline in the run game, wrapping up in space, and he's got really good just overall ball skills and route recognition for a guy that is still developing as a safety. So yeah, I like Khalil Barnes a lot. I think that he has a chance to be a pretty dang high riser in this class if he chooses to come out.
So funny enough, he's basically the only guy I have not watched. Good. So I will take your word for that. I have no points to add. But it sounds like we have the same top two. And that being said, my number 2 guy, and seemingly your number 2 guy, is Kamari Ramsey from USC. I would take him early in the first round. I would take him like mid 20s, somewhere around that range. Mm-hmm. He is one of those players for this class that I feel really confident in because he seems so well coached, being around D'Anton Lynn, and his athletic skill set makes him super dangerous. I think that this is your prototypical free safety that checks every single box. He flies all over the field. He's super aggressive, especially when the ball's in the air, and despite not being taller, has really, really great length.
Yep.
I can draft him in the first round, which probably won't happen because safeties don't get drafted in the first round. But he's one of the few that I would push for and advocate for. I think that he could do so much in the NFL in the right secondary. And even if he's on a bad team that doesn't really have a very good secondary, there's a chance that he could be a serious elevator.
My question for people that have watched Kamari Ramsey, if you've watched him, and if you're planning on watching him, ask yourself, what does Kamari Ramsey not do well? Like, he's one of these guys, and we've talked about, like, there's guys that, like, you need to be, improve play strength. Maybe route recognition needs to be a little bit better. Zone discipline needs to be better. Maybe you need to be a little bit more proactive as a defender. Like, there's things to improve. And there's things to improve with Ramsey because no one's perfect. I mean, he's a college football player. He's going to have to continue to get better at things going into the NFL. But, Joe, like, where's the glaring weakness here? Like, he's a good-sized safety that can play either safety spot. He's a guy that has huge moments in the run game where he comes to balance and has power throughout his frame. A kid that was at UCLA originally with Coach Lynn, transferred over to USC. And in one offseason, Joe, as a true junior last year, was his captain for USC after transferring over. Like, so he's got leadership qualities. He's got run game impact. He's got really good route recognition and upside as a coverage player in general. And then there's reps, because I'm describing him and you're like, oh, okay, he's probably not a great like short area mover, but he's got reps in man where you're like, okay, like he can play against tight ends. He can play against bigger slots. I think that Kamari Ramsey is a hell of a football player, and he is number 2 on my list. Here's a take, though, and people are not going to like this take. They're not going to like this, Joe. They're not going to like this because there are some people that have Caleb Downs as like player 1 in this class. I am not nearly as high.
I'm going to address that in a second.
I'm not nearly as high on that, and we'll get to that, obviously. There is not a huge gap between Caleb Downs and Kamari Ramsey. Like, there is not.
Well, they're very different players,
yes.
And I'm to be quite frank with you, I have the same exact grade on the 2 of them. They're very different. They're going to play very different roles in the NFL, which we're going to talk about that role for Caleb Downs that kind of muddies the projection for him.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I think that Kamari Ramsey deserves that respect of having that same grade as Caleb Downs. I completely agree with you. That is not. You're right. People aren't going to like it. People didn't like when we did our Caleb Downs breakdown video and we talked about, hey, this is a great athlete. This is a great. Let's transition to talking about Caleb Downs. He's number 1 for both of us. Mm-hmm. He is an awesome athlete. He has the best instincts in the class.
Incredibly smart.
Played this.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Incredibly smart. He played this weird. And I hate Jim Knowles for doing this because it made this conversation a lot harder. He played this weird roving middle linebacker safety role.
He was like a mid-hole safety. Yeah, he was like a mid-hole safety. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It was very impactful for Ohio State for what they needed to do because they had so much meat up front that he was unscathed and he was smart enough, physical enough, and all those things that he could survive in this mid-hole safety role if there was traffic approaching him. He makes some great plays at the line of scrimmage. He plays like a linebacker, but has the range and the fluidity of a safety. That's what makes him so dangerous. But it pisses me off because we didn't get any coverage situations with him. We don't have him really playing any deep zone.
No,
we don't have him playing a whole lot of man-to-man coverage. I don't want to hear anyone. I don't. And this is what bothers me about this whole conversation that says he's the best player in the class without a doubt. Like, don't question it. I don't want to hear anyone try to break down his coverage skills because it's not on film. It's not on film. Jim Knowles hid that aspect of his game. He could be the best coverage safety that we've ever seen in our lives. There's not enough context. I call bullshit on anyone who claims that they think that he is a plus coverage player because it's just not on film often. That being said, this is Budda Baker, and Budda Baker's been an all-pro guy. I would feel very happy with myself if my team drafted Caleb Downs 12th overall, 10th overall, somewhere between 10 to 20. And I would know that I'm getting an awesome player who's a great leader and, again, goes on to become the next Budda Baker. But he's not a top 5 pick. Safeties don't go in the top 5. That's my final point with this. Don't expect the safety to go top 5 because it doesn't happen. It doesn't. The NFL overthinks safety prospects. They don't do this. So that's my spiel. I love Caleb Downs, but can we please stop having revisionist history when it comes to evaluations for safety prospects? A lot of people are forgetting a lot of shit.
Yes. Well, so a couple notes here. I like the Budda Baker comp just in general. I think the body type, the play style makes a whole lot of sense. The only one we can use. Like it makes a lot of sense. Caleb Downs is incredibly intelligent, and we see it because he freelances a little bit at times coming downhill, and he puts himself in great spots. He plays that mid-hole spot, but he'll also come down as like a curl flat defender at times and be able to rob, and be able to run the alley. Like, he does those types of things really well. And he's got good coverage instincts coming forward, right? Like, he can rob short zones and he can close windows that way. That's really cool. And he is, Joe, I don't know if I've ever seen a sure tackler as a safety. Like, I just don't know if I've ever seen it. Like, he does not miss tackles in space. So the baseline is tremendous because you hear everyone talk about the kid, love him. Like, he's a great kid. He's played Alabama. He's played Ohio State now, and he's been very productive at whatever spot he goes to. But there is a major question, and I would just ask somebody, like, my ad on Twitter is @RiseandDraft. If you would like to send me a clip of Caleb Downs making a legitimately plus play in deep zone coverage, playing over the top, whether that is cover 1 or even cover 2. I'm not even asking you just to play middle of the field safety. Like, I'm not asking you to show me like this crazy rangy play where he's playing single high. I'm saying 2 high, single high, whatever. Show me a play that you're like, wow, that kid is a tremendous free safety on the NFL level. A guy that can really play from depth, play from range, and make some startling plays on the back end. I just don't think it's there. And you know what tells me that it's not there, Joe? Have you heard where he's going to be playing a lot this year, apparently?
Where?
They're playing him a lot at nickel this year, apparently. He's playing a lot of nickel, too. Which I don't hate because you just talked about, like, hey, let's see him in man coverage at times, too, right? So you'll probably see him a little bit more man coverage this year and the ability to play in the slot. And I do think at least against tight ends, he's got that upside to him. But again, my biggest qualms with Caleb Downs is I want to see the impact in deep zone. I want to see it, and we're not going to see it. I mean, like, he's going to be the same type of safety that's also going to play nickel, so we're not going to see him in deep zone coverage. So it is a little bit of a incomplete evaluation. I also don't think he's the biggest guy of all time, which is why the Budda Baker comp makes sense. Like, he's listed at like 6 foot, like 200 something pounds. He's probably 200 pounds, but I mean, he might be more like in the 5'10 and a half to 5'11 range. Like, I don't think he's a huge kid at all either. So we're talking about a little bit of a sawed off safety that's more of a player coming towards the line of scrimmage, going to have to play in the box, coming down play the alley, like that type of dude. And I just value personally, this is my personal preference, I value guys that make an impact playing in deep coverage that can also do all this stuff coming forward, because that's a lot harder to teach a guy that's comfortable in that type of range and that type of space. So I also like Caleb Downs. I think he's a very good player. Is he a generational safety that people are billing him as? Is he a guy that should go in the top 5 like people are billing him as? Is he a player 1 that people are billing him as? My answer is no, but that doesn't mean that he's not a very good player.
Right. It's hard to have a level-headed conversation because a lot of times when you don't say that said player is the best player in the class like everybody else, you're
He's not
classified as
he's
a
not
hater.
a better prospect. I know people are going to call me biased because I'm a Notre Dame fan or whatever. He is not a better prospect than Kyle Hamilton was just 3 years ago or 4 years ago, whatever. Like he's just not.
He was 6'4".
Yeah.
He was playing over the top. Yeah.
And if that kid goes 14th overall, then Caleb Downs should not go top 10. That's my thought.
That's the key point. Is no matter how gifted and rare a player is, safeties will always get dropped. Nick Emenwari was an example. He had the most historic safety defensive back testing performance that we literally have ever seen. Maybe the most historic testing day ever for a prospect. And he went in the second round. Like, let's get real for a quick second. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Comment below, guys, that you love in the safety class. Hit that like button and subscribe. We'll talk to you later.